Hey girl, welcome to the Farmhouse Scullery, where I share inspirational conversations for a homesteading wife. Content tailored for you to get you to feel inspired, empowered, and motivated to fall in love with yourself more. You can find me on all socials with the handle at the Farmhouse Scullery. Please keep on listening for today's rant. Hello, welcome back to the Farmhouse Scullery podcast. This week I'm late. Okay, that sounded bad. I'm not late. I'm late, like podcast late, not like, that sort of like, just thought that would be a good thing to clarify. Oh my gosh, okay. So the podcast is late. And the reason why is my body made me absolutely stop. It was trying to give me warning signs and I just misconstrued it for like tiredness or worrying about specific things, and it turns out it was actually needing a break and I was not listening. So I got myself to a point where my body was like, stop right now. It completely forced me. So I thought this week would be really cool to talk about how to listen to your body and what it might be saying to you when you think it might be something else when it actually is trying to communicate with you. So for me, because I have removed smoking in my life, which I definitely started and was a stress coping mechanism for me, because I'd removed that from my life. It's been a few months now and I'm good. Didn't like crave it at all, like whatsoever, the whole time. If you haven't listened to that podcast, you can go back and listen to that podcast, how I quit smoking cold turkey, because I didn't have that to rely on in a time of stress. I wasn't actually listening to my body like at all, to be honest. I thought I was just fine. Whereas normally I'd be like taking little breaks and taking stock and checking what's really going on. But because I wasn't doing that, I got into a situation, I'd worked myself up into a state where I wasn't listening whatsoever, and I thought I was really good, but I actually wasn't. And I have, like, my intuition's really in tune with a lot of things, but intuition is something you do need to develop into lots of different areas of your life. And I guess I hadn't been listening to this part for a little while. Because I didn't have smoking, what I was doing instead was I was working. I was working on my business on the Farmhouse Scullery. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love it. But when my body got to a state where it told me, you have to stop, I was in so much physical pain, I couldn't carry on with my work. I was like, all I could think about was doing work, and I agreed, okay, that's cool, let's just take a day off, right? Let's take a day off on Friday. But the whole time I just struggled. I really just wanted to get back into work, and I realized that had become my new like safe place. Like, it was a place for me to know who I am and to do something I'm really passionate about what I'm doing, but I hadn't been listening to what was being left behind. And then I thought back to a time when I was younger. I was in a high pressure office job, and my neck actually I had a really stressful point at one stage, and my neck like went out, like it was stuck and couldn't move, and I felt like I'd been in an accident or something. It was insane. And when I saw an osteopath, and she's like, oh yeah, this is stress related, and I was like, hey, how can my body be like, how does that work? No, that's not possible. She's like, yeah, it is. Yeah, when people are stressed, their back goes out or their neck goes out or whatever. And I was like, really? This is odd. And she fixed me up. And then a couple of days later, it went out again. I was like, oh, I see. Maybe she's correct, because I've not had another accident. I didn't know, I hadn't had another accident. So how could this happen? And yeah, it was stress. So I had to go to where the stress is coming from, go to the pinnacle of it and try and work it out and release it. I wasn't actually able to work through it at that stage, but I was able to release it from my energy and from my control. Just let it go to God and let him sort it out, because obviously, worrying wasn't doing anything for me whatsoever. And basically, my husband actually reminded me of that on Friday, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. I literally have nothing to be stressed about. Everything's good. Life's great. It's good. Yeah. We're making some decisions at the moment, but I'm feeling really healthy and happy about it. Like, not a problem at all. And he was like, well, yeah, but this is big stuff we're going through. And I was like, that's cool. I'm good. And I was like, yeah, whatever. Went for a spa, because my back went out this time. So I was in the spa and relaxing, and I was like, oh, actually, yeah, maybe he is right. so I just had to sit there, and it's sort of like, it's not a meditative state, although I really do think meditation is extremely helpful. And meditation is something that I have in my regular routine, but I've just upped the frequency of it since I'm having this time with my body right now. And so to go through what that process looked like for me was to sit there and just think about what's happened over the last few weeks, or however long it's been for you if it's longer for that, and think about the major decisions or any trauma or anything like that has happened, or just like really be with it, because sometimes we sort of let it pass us without it, and just, you know, it sort of sits there without us actually owning what's happened and really being able to process what's happening, because it's easier just to file something than to process it, right? So I really had to just dig it out and just think about some of these things and allow some emotions to pass through, and I think that's really what I needed to let some emotions pass through. It was really helpful. It wasn't terribly easy, but it was really helpful, and I think you look back at these things long term and you don't regret it. You don't regret spending that time with yourself. You don't regret checking out for half an hour and thinking about yourself or doing some meditation, but you can regret it. You do regret it if you don't, because you get in situations where your body just makes you stop. So I wonder if you've ever thought about, when you have huge physical ailments, as to whether that's actually been from something you're not listening to, so some emotional stress or some trauma. Have you ever thought about that before? Have you ever made the connection that your body is trying to tell you to slow down, or trying to tell you to let some emotions through? Something that I've recently implemented into my life is, I don't know if you've heard of an alter ego. I have. I don't know the ins and outs of it exactly, but I guess I have been doing a similar sort of thing. So basically an alter ego is, everyone has done it in their life, because kids play pretend dress up, right? So my son pretends he's Spider-Man, he jumps off the bed and, you know, swings around. That's basically an alter ego. We typically don't do it in our adult life because we've been told to grow up as a child and not pretend those sort of things. Eventually we get that message through social peers or whoever it is. But recently I've actually been doing this. It sounds kind of weird to say this out loud, actually. No, I'm thinking about saying this out loud. In that moment I basically asked myself, like, what would a higher version of myself be doing right now? So in 5 years' time, and I look at myself when I'm, you know, I've been doing personal development for like 6 years, and I'm running a successful farmhouse scullery, and my kids are a bit older. Like, what would I be doing? What would I like? Basically, what advice would you give your younger self? And for me, it was, okay, we'll take a weekend off. Just completely take the whole weekend off any work. And I was like, okay, sure, let's do this. Literally 1,000 times I wanted to break that promise, but I promised myself I would, and I feel really great now that I did actually do it. I needed to take that time out, but there's so many things that you might, so I mean, I know something else that my higher self really values, and even myself now, is taking time out for personal care. So taking some chill time to yourself, whether it's a spa, walking, all this stuff. I mean, it's not really that new to anyone, but actually making it real for me, not just listening to it on social media, or not just thinking about it or putting it on the to-do list, actually implementing it and make it the priority, because when the water comes into the harbour, all the ships rise, right? So all you have to do is focus on one thing, and everything else will rise too. So if you take care of yourself, rather than emptying your jug all the time to everyone else's jug, let your jug be filled up, and the overflow will go everywhere else. And that is something that I need to do. It's probably something you need to do too. So I encourage you to not just make a list of what you need to do for yourself, but actually just scrap the list and just do something today. Do it now. Do something for yourself now, so that you can enable yourself to fill up your jug and not just be emptying it out to everyone else. So that's it for today's episode. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I would love to. You can jump across to my Facebook page at the Farmhouse Scullery. At the moment, I also have a promotion going with my website. The first 400 people to sign up to my newsletter get my very special and protected, secretive chocolate cake recipe. It's been highly requested because I actually used to sell cakes as a business. So if you'd like to get across there, and please subscribe here, that would be awesome. Until next time, take care.